Hello and welcome. This is Cooking at Home Like a Chef, Episode 8. In this episode, I'll be presenting the recipe Prawn Stuffed Chicken Breast. This is a delightful dish which offers the taste of both chicken and shrimp in the same bite. Now, you might have noticed I just used the words prawn and shrimp to describe the same plate, which might drive the question of, are they the same? It can be confusing. Many people use these words interchangeably, including myself. But in truth, they are not the same. They're actually different creatures. However, in my opinion, from a cooking perspective, it makes no difference. They're nearly identical, and just like the names people apply, interchangeable. Once out of the shell and into the meal, most people can't tell if it's a shrimp or a prawn. I know I can't. And in all practical terms, it really doesn't matter. They look the same, and unless you're a real aficionado, they taste the same. Whichever one is the least expensive at market, that's the one the restaurant will use. But how they word that on the menu, now that makes a difference. Using the word prawn versus shrimp alters the customer's expectation for the meal and also increases the price. It'll do the same for you at your dinner party. Here's an example. When the menu reads shrimp and pasta in a cream sauce for $9.95, well, that sounds about right. It sets an expectation in your mind that probably matches the booth you're sitting in. $9.95 feels fair given that description. However, if the menu read succulent prawns upon a bed of the finest angel hair pasta presented in a sherry cream sauce, $21.95, now your taste buds have a higher expectation and they'll be whispering, "It's worth it." In the restaurant, prawns set a higher expectation over shrimp and receive a higher price. You too can set that expectation for your own dinner party by writing a flowery menu description, just like the restaurant does. Okay, now let's talk about size. I'm sure you already know this. Prawns and shrimp are sold by the pound. No surprise there. Here at home, I buy what's called 2125s. For me, they're the most versatile. That numeric designation of 2125 means I should expect to find between 21 and 25 shrimp in each pound of shrimp I purchase. The smaller those numbers are, the larger the physical size of the shrimp. In the restaurant, I use different sizes for different dishes. We served an appetizer dish of prawns and lobster sauce and used 2125s for that. That's the Goldilocks size. Not too small or too large, perfect for taking 2 bites, and just the right size for a small appetizer. For a larger shared dish, like a seafood and rice combination, I'd use a smaller size, 2630s. The smaller size allows for more individual shrimp on the plate for about the same price. It makes sharing a lot easier. Now for this recipe, prawn stuffed chicken breast, I also prefer the 2630s. They make it easier for wrapping the chicken around them. You'll see what I mean by that in a moment. However, as I mentioned earlier, here at home, I only have the 2125s, and I'll be using those for today's video. Alright, let's get started. On the left is the ingredient list for this dish. It's fairly basic, except for the brown sauce. That you must have pre-made and at the ready. Watch episode 6 if you don't know how to make the brown sauce. That video will walk you through the complete process. On the right, I've listed the 5 processing steps I'll follow to create this dish. Step 1. Blanch the shrimp. In a small skillet over medium plus heat, 7 on my dial, melt 2 tablespoons of butter. Add 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh parsley, followed by 1/2 tablespoon of ground thyme and 1/2 tablespoon of ground tarragon. Blend this together and continue heating until the butter reaches the foam stage. Then add in the prawns. This is a fast process. Heat 20 seconds on each side, then out of the skillet. Now reserve the butter in a separate bowl. what I just showed was 4 prawns. That's the portion size we served in the restaurant. But if you're having a dinner party, you'll need more than that at a time. Don't be afraid to bulk cook for the party. Just ramp up the ingredient amounts for the larger numbers. Here I'm preparing 12 prawns. The process is the same, but pay attention to the timing. Things can overcook quickly. Turn down the heat a bit to give yourself more time to maneuver all the pieces together and work the process to the end. The next step is to prepare the chicken. I need to slice it into pieces, then pound each flat to create a slice large enough and thin enough to wrap around the prawn. A bit of a confession here. Saying it is easy, getting it right can be more difficult. My staff in the restaurant were better at this than I was. Nonetheless, here's how it's done. I'll show you 2 methods for slicing. Either one will work. Use the one that seems more comfortable for you. Method 1, slice horizontally through the breast, leaving you with a thin, flat piece. With practice, you'll get 3 pieces from a breast, but it does take practice. Method 2 is a simpler approach. Cut the breast into pieces, slicing at an angle. Here again, it yields the same number of pieces. Either way works. You just need to find the one that works for you. Next, I'll pound out the pieces. Here again, practice creates experience. This is what being a chef is all about. Using a double sheet of plastic wrap as a shield, pound the meat to flatten it, creating a sheet of chicken. That's the goal. The pressure points are leaving it too thick or pounding it too thin. If you don't pound it thin enough, it won't stay wrapped. Too thin, and it will leave gaps in the meat. So what do you do if you pound it too thin? You use it anyway. Don't throw it away, and don't worry. Just remember, making mistakes is how we learn. Do your best, and do better next time. With the chicken pounded out, it's time to assemble our packages. Take a piece of chicken. Spread an amount of the herb butter over it. Place a prawn in the center. Then fold it over. Tuck in the sides. Flip it over to hold it, and it's done. Voila! Simple and easy. Let's take a look at some that weren't. The piece I didn't pound out enough. It's too thick and won't wrap properly. The fix here is to pound out the chicken to a more workable thickness. Here's another example of where the chicken is pounded too thin. There are gaps in the wrapper. You'll struggle, like I am here, to enclose the prawn and keep the herb butter inside. If you overpound the chicken, you can still use it for the family, but not the dinner party. For the dinner party, you'll want a better presentation. Alright, the pieces are assembled. Now we're ready for the stove. I'll demo both trays that I prepared. I've reached step 4 on the process chart. I'm going to dredge the chicken in flour, brown the parcels, then prepare the sauce, and everything goes into the oven at 400 degrees for 6 minutes, skillet and all. Here are the detailed steps. Alright, let's begin. In a medium skillet over medium plus heat, 8 on my dial, pour a 1/8 inch deep layer of oil into the skillet and let that come up to temperature. I'm using an infrared thermometer to determine if the oil has reached temperature. If you don't have one, any temperature probe will work, or you can look for a shimmer on the oil. That's generally a good indicator. And it's ready. I'll dredge the parcels in flour that I seasoned with salt and pepper. I used a fresh ground black pepper. You might notice that these parcels are different sizes. In the restaurant, I would never allow that. Every portion on every plate must be the same. It helps you manage costs, but more importantly, it creates satisfaction with your guests. No one feels they got shortchanged on the meal because someone else's plate looked like it was bigger. Here, for the purpose of this demo, I didn't correct the errors that I pointed out earlier during the assembly step. I wanted to show you what would happen in the cooking process if you haven't pounded or wrapped the chicken properly. The first problem you might notice is that an irregular or poorly wrapped parcel will start to come apart in the flour. It just creates a mess. And here's where you'll encounter the next problem. You can always finesse it around and get it into the skillet, and on the surface it might look like it's going to work. The trouble is, they'll come open when you try to turn them. Unfortunately, at this point there is no elegant fix for this. That needed to happen before going into the skillet. If you find yourself in this situation, you have a decision to make. You can carry on, do your best to hide it, and serve it anyway, or you can cook another piece for your guest. I recommend the latter, just as I would in the restaurant. And I'm sure you recognize that making it better from the start will keep these kinds of problems at bay during the cook. Okay, pressing on. Once browned, set the parcels aside and drain the oil from the skillet. It's time to build a sauce. Over medium plus heat, 7 on the dial this time, bring 2 tablespoons of butter to the foam stage. Add the tarragon and thyme spice and mix together. Add 4 tablespoons of brown sauce and 2 ounces of white wine. Bring that mixture to a boil. Whisk or stir to form the sauce. Once the sauce comes together, return the parcels to the skillet. Spoon sauce over the top of each parcel. Now we're off the heat and into the oven at 400 degrees for 6 minutes. While those are in the oven, I'll cook the other tray of parcels that I prepared earlier. I'm going to follow the same steps I just showed you, only on a larger scale, which for me means a larger skillet and a boost in the amount of ingredients I need. Here we are, the last step. The parcels are out of the oven and I'm ready to plate. But first, a caution. The handle of that skillet just came out of a 400-degree oven. Now you know it's going to be hot, 400 degrees hot. But when your mind is busy thinking of how you plate and what you missed and is there anything else left to be done, you'll forget and grab the handle, just like you've always done. It happens all the time. To protect yourself from that mistake, drape a pot holder over the handle and keep it there all the time. You'll see the pot holder. It'll help remind you that handle is hot. Off camera, I prepared some mashed potato to balance the plate a bit. Also, the normal plating amount is 4 parcels per plate. However, just for this video, I'll be plating 6. Now I'll apply the sauce, which I've already strained from the pan. It's important to strain it a second time to catch any lumps that might have formed while in the oven. And here we are, prawn stuffed chicken breast with mashed potato and butter. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you found it helpful. Until next time.